right? So I just put some videos out about that. But I think it's important to know that the contract that you choose, you have to stick with, right? So thank you for sharing. Diamond Diva, welcome in. Nice to see you. Make sure you're tapping the screen, sharing it out. YouTube, we're back connected. So the contract that you choose is very important because a lot of people choose contracts that are overcomplicated. So that's why I put the one for 97 together. But tonight is more about the training that I want to go over with you guys because I have a new training and I'm going to break it down module to show you what I'm really teaching inside of the training. So if you're here tonight, it's definitely an exclusive. And there's a discount code, which I do not do ever. I do not put discount codes. I'm not in that, that's not my thing. Everybody got their thing. That's not my thing. Right. But I am going to break down the course and show you exactly what we're teaching inside of this training. So let's get into it real quick before I go any further. Tonight, I'm going to discount a popular training that I have. It's called the Contract is Yours training. Normally, it's $1,444. Tonight, there's a discount code. It brings it down to $899. All right, but inside of this course, you have to understand that this is what you're going to be learning. All right, so there's an introduction. Okay, this is a success roadmap and blueprint to bring you all the way to a government contract. So in the last 3 years, this is every single thing that has frustrated me, everything that I've won, everything I've learned. This is the power of sticking with one thing all in one course. Okay, so first things first, we got to share. All right, so YouTube, we're talking about the training. The contract is yours, right? So I want to talk about the discount tonight. There is a code you can use. It is POOBZ. All right, it's POOBZ. But this is the training of everything that I've put together. Okay, so you have your introduction. I talk about the course overview, right? We talk about the toolbox. A lot of you, can someone come in and tell me what you need in order to effectively bid on a government contract? What are the 3 things that you need in your toolbox in order to be able to bid? And can someone call that out? Then we talk about the prime contractor versus the middleman strategy. But you have to understand, if you look here, we have text, we have images, we have videos, we have PDFs. You can even take quizzes inside of the training. Okay, if you're in my link tree, all right, you can see my contact information, which is my cell phone as well as my email. I want you to reach out and give me the discount code POOBS. This is the only night that it is available at a discount. Okay, P as in Peter, O as in Oliver, O as in Oliver, B as in Bravo, Z as in zebra, right? Wi-Fi, LLC, and a tablet or a laptop. That's your toolbox, okay? Make sure you're active with the Department of State, okay? Your LLC or your corporation. Laptop, you can also use a tablet and a strong Wi-Fi because these portals, they act up and you don't want to be in a position where you're submitting a contract and you cannot get the actual contract to go through because your connection's not good enough, right? So inside the training, these are the most important things that we need to talk about. Understanding the local government contracting process. All right, what is it like to navigate the portals? What is a pre-bid meeting? How do you properly read the documents inside of a government contract? These are all things you need to learn in order to have one of the most best Christmases you've had in years in December. We got 4 months left. 4 months left in 2026. Where are your goals? Like, what have you currently accomplished in 2026? Because you're about to start making your 2027 goals any minute. In the next 30 days, we're gearing up for 2027 goals. And I know it might seem wild, but it's like, what was on your goal list that you didn't accomplish that you can accomplish now by making an investment? Right, so we talk about collaborating with subcontractors, the Q&A period. Everything inside this training is built for you to win a government contract, okay? Certifications and SBA assistance. All right, let's just touch on this real quick. Certifications don't win contracts. All right, I have a client who has 4 certifications. She's never won a contract. But you do have the opportunity to be able to register your company for certifications. Do they win contracts? No. But they are a flex to have, to show that you're organized, to show that you're compliant. But a bid submission and a certification are not the same. So let's just be clear about that, okay? And I do touch on that in my training, right? Pricing and proposal development. This is where I see a lot of my clients go to the wind. Okay, right here in this section, you need this more than you need anything. Developing a pricing strategy. There's two different types of contracts. One is products, one is services. Okay, product contracts, what they do is they bring you one-time consistent income, and that's okay. But then you have service contracts as well, and those bring you consistent income over time. A product bid could look like a shipping container. One time. We just need one shipping container and that's it. A service bid looks like, okay, we have a landscaping job that we need done and we need the grass mowed every day, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's a service contract. That's consistently month over month. So that's bringing in consistent revenue, right? That's something that you need to learn to move effectively. All right, so when you're inside of this training, it is very important that you understand this is what you're investing in. How to pay for the contract after the award. This is all something I've created from the ground up, okay? Winning the contract. What happens after you win a government contract? That's what we need to know. You need to learn how to invoice the government properly. You need to talk and learn the payment timeline. Is it net 30? Is it net 45? Right? Lessons learned and best practices. And then final thoughts, key takeaways, and affirmations. I have to put my affirmations in there. That's who I am, right? Like that's part of my process, right? Like I spoke a lot of this into existence. I got God involved. I'm grateful to be here right now. But tonight, I really wanted to share this training with you because for the first time, I'm discounting it. So if you come up and you tap my face, there should be a discount code that says discount Poobs at the top of my link tree. But I've had a lot of good questions on what is offered inside of the course. So I think that bringing that to the forefront and helping you to understand this is what we're teaching from the ground up is a lot easier, right? So we're going to put states in the chat. We got to get states in the chat to see who we can pull up with. All right. So if you're new here and you're looking for a government contract, you know what? We were on New York State Contract Reporter. That's what we were doing. Okay. You're going to come to Google. You're going to type in New York State Contract Reporter. Okay. That's going to bring you to nyscr.ny.gov. I want you to click on that. All right, this is your homepage in New York State. All right, this is what you're going to see. And this is where I won my second government contract. So this page, this portal, I'm very familiar with, okay? Now I want you to come down. It's going to talk about the opportunities posted in the past 7 days. 224 opportunities. 828 total opportunities have been posted in New York State in the last week. All right, so we did Maryland, we got New York, and we got Georgia. Okay, so there's an arrow on the side that I want you to pay attention to where it says view more opportunities. Now, also, New York State, it didn't always look like this. This is an updated situation, okay? They just did a whole new portal. 6 months ago, it did not look like this, okay? So this is very brand new. But immediately we can see the government is currently spending money on what? Snow and ice removal, right? This is important to know because if you know certain things about your area, right? Now, I'm in Miami, Florida. We're not going to see these kinds of contracts. We know the government's not spending money on snow and ice removal services in Miami because it's endless summer, right? Like that's not the focus here. but you have certain things that are going on in your area, state and local, that you have the advantage. You know, in the next couple months that you're going to get buried with snow. You know that emergency, like we're in hurricane season. So we might see things that are much different than snow removal. But if you can pinpoint what's going on in your current county, so I'm from Florida, right? I reside in Florida. I try to come to Texas. I don't have an advantage in Texas really because I don't know too much about what's going on out there. My subcontractors do, but I don't. So the area that you're in, please realize that you have the ability to make an impact because you're from that area. Okay, makes so much sense. Does that make sense? Right. So if you're new here, drop your state in the chat. We'll do Georgia next. All right. So government's currently spending money in New York State on snow removal, elevator rehabilitation, maintenance, service, and repair, building signage, stakeholder relationship management, community college upgrade. Looks like they're building an additional library at Lake George, renovations and repurposing of the original correctional facility. You guys have to understand as well. There's an agency that spends money for the correctional facility. Every agency is spending money right now. Department of Transportation, Department of Corrections, so many parks and recreation, so many agencies are currently spending money on multiple different services and products. You cannot win a government contract if you do not bid on a contract. You cannot hit the lottery if you do not scratch a lottery ticket. I don't care how much you hope and dream. You're never going to get to it if you don't make the investment or the time to say, I really want this. Okay, so the course I put together, the Contract is Yours training, that is the power of sticking with one thing. That is what that course is deemed around. Okay, $300,000 in contracts is a big deal, right? There's a system and a blueprint that I had to learn in order to get there, right? So they're currently spending money on design and fabrication, brand awareness, book scanning, professional liability insurance. Looks like some trailers are up here. Hydraulic lowering utility trailers. Trying to pull some easy ones here because you guys know I love my IFBs and my RFQs. Laundry room repairs, right? So if you have a subcontractor and they're saying, Nolan, welcome in, nice to see you. YouTube, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, all right? I want you to put your state in the chat. We're looking up live government contracts. Right now, we're in the state of New York. So let's say you want to bid on this contract, laundry room repairs. But you're a logistics company. You do not have the ability to do any kind of laundry room repair. That's not your thing. That's not your gist. That's not your niche, right? So you're going to call 10 subcontractors, and what you're going to ask them is, can you do the work? And if so, can you please give me a price? Once you get that price from your subcontractors, now, why do I tell you 10? There's a reason why I tell you 10 subcontractors. Does anyone know what that reason is? Drop it in the chat. Why do I tell you to call 10 subcontractors? Miss Rhonda, welcome in. Nolan, nice to see you. Make sure you guys are tapping the screen, following, and dropping your state in the chat, right? So I tell you to call 10 subcontractors because I want you to know. All 10 of them are not going to give you a price. 2 of them are going to fall off. 2 of them are going to move too slow. Maybe 1 or 2 is going to be high. So you're going to walk away with like 3 to 4 good prices, solid prices that you can keep. And the more subcontractors you call, the better, right? Where are these subcontractors going to come from? Google. Okay. Anywhere where service-based businesses and contract and product-based businesses are posting their services. Google is the #1 search engine. That's exactly where they're going to come from. And you're going to be able to vet them. Why? Because Google has reviews and they're endless. And they're endless, guys. So you get your price, you put your profit margin, 10% to 12%, okay, depending on the project. Then you're going to move that forward and submit it to the government. You're going to run that blueprint so many times until you look up and you're successful. Okay, but it cannot come to this if you do not bid. And that's the biggest thing. So we put the 1 for 97 together. That was the reason why we did that, because we do understand that the movement of what you're all trying to create and bid on has been confusing because there's so many exciting contracts to choose from, right? So are we stuck on screen here on YouTube? Yeah, we're stuck on screen. Oh boy. All right, so let's do Georgia. Georgia, you're going to come. Whoa. This flu is trying to get the best of me. Oh my goodness. I might have to cut it short tonight. Wow, this thing is trying to like kick up and take me out. Woo! All right, so you're gonna zoom in. Georgia, you're gonna come to Google and you're gonna type in Georgia purchasing. Right? You're gonna click enter. This is also a new portal to choose from. Okay, West Africa, nice to see you. First thing I want you to do is come in and type in Georgia purchasing. You're then going to see the Georgia Procurement Registry. You're going to click on that. Now, we talked about this. Georgia is currently merging a new platform. So it's no longer going to be Georgia DOAS. Now it's going to be Georgia at Work. Okay, so right here, this one is the new portal that you're going to see from Georgia. All right, now this is your homepage. Okay, this is your homepage. You're going to scroll down. The government is currently spending money on towing services, meeting room carpet replacement, community charter school small equipment, IFB. I want you guys to bid on the IFBs. It means invitation for bid, and it also means they're just asking for a price. That is a beginner-friendly contract. Okay? Beginner-friendly contract is RFQ and IFB. All right? Handicap ramp replacement. Blueberry Research Frost Protection Irrigation System. Street improvements. On-call maintenance. Purchase and installation of video surveillance equipment, landfill cover materials, RFQ for structural engineering assessment, banquet chairs. That's different. That's an easy one. To be able to bid on banquet chairs, what you would have to do is be able to find a company that can actually provide the banquet chairs. And YouTube, give me a 1 in the chat if you can see my screen, or did it freeze? I think it froze right here. All right, so the banquet chairs are a good one. Right, so the banquet chairs are a good one to definitely choose from. You want to make sure that you can find a subcontractor who can provide the banquet chairs, right? So you're going to call them and you're going to say, look, you're in the state of Georgia right now. So, Aunt, what's your current situation? Are you currently winning contracts? Or I know you had a couple good questions that you asked me last week. And my messages are turned off right now, guys. So if you go into the link in my bio, you can see my email. You can also see my cell phone number. That's a direct line to me. So what I would do is I would come to Google and I would look up companies that can provide banquet chairs in Georgia, right? Google is literally our best friend. Boom. First thing that pops up, you're going to scroll down a little bit. You're going to see it immediately. Party rental companies that can help you. All city party tent rentals, events and party rental, Party Bound, the rental place. These companies can help you fulfill this banquet chair bid. So the government's currently requesting banquet chairs for Georgia World Congress Center and Authority, right? So it's due August 4th. Every contract has a deadline, August 4th, 2026 at 2 p.m., right? So what are we going to do? We're going to come to Google. Boom. Now, once you pull your 10 subcontractors off of this list, you're going to ask them, based off of the scope of work that the government gave you, right? What kind of chairs are they? What color? What size? Are they plastic? Are they metal? You're going to find that out inside of the scope of work. Once you do, then you can call your subcontractors and say, look, I need 1,000 chairs by this time. They're this size, they're this color. Can you provide them? If so, can you please give me a price for each chair? This is just for example purposes, just for educational purposes. Let's just say it's $1 a chair, right? But you know that they have them in stock. You know that they can help, right? You're going to add an additional $2 to each chair. Why? Because it's about profit. We're for-profit businesses, right? We're here to make money. The government has a pocket full of money. The only thing that you have to do is follow a certain set of steps in order to get that money into your account, right? So we want to remember that profit margins matter. If you have a contract and it's not profitable, I want you to walk away from it. There's too many contracts out here for you to ever feel like you have to hold on to a contract that brings no reward. We're here at this moment to bid on government contracts. To why? To make a profit. We're not doing this for grapes. We're not doing this for strawberries. We're not doing it for cherries, right? We want to make money. Okay. So, very important to know the subcontractor blueprint is very real. That's exactly what I teach in my course. All right. So, the contract is yours training is out now. While I'm on live tonight, it is $8.99. So, if you're in the live, you're going to catch it at a discounted price. So, I want you to come into my link tree, find my contact information, and reach out. I want you to email or text me POOBZ, POOBZ, because that means that you're going to get it tonight at a discount. And this is never going to happen again. Like, I'm never going to discount this training again like this, right? So even if you need a discount, you need Klarna, you need Afterpay, Affirm. I have third-party providers that can help you to get the course. All right. You can take it by yourself. It's very friendly, very user-friendly. You're going to see PDFs. You're going to see videos. But what you can do is take it on your time. Okay. You do not have to wait for anything to drop. The minute you invest is the minute you have access. So if your days look crazy and you don't have a lot of time, understood, right? A lot of people are 9 to 5. A lot of people are already running infrastructures, right? This training is so by December of 2026 and possibly even before, you can win your government contract and your holidays will look a lot different than they used to. Okay? And at this point, you have nothing to lose. Right? Like nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes. So there has to be a change, right? Like, so this training for me is exciting because it's the power of sticking with one thing. All right. So, Ann, if you are looking to bid on a government contract, I would recommend the one for 97. It's linked in my bio. Okay. Pulls you a beginner friendly contract, the subcontractor model, and the 20 question AI prompt, right? So let me check my YouTube comments. All right. So Georgia, what else are they spending money on? Garbage collection and disposal, student learning devices, citywide pest control maintenance, beverages, phase one, This is what I don't want you bidding on. Anything you see that's RFP, I want you to stay away from that. That's one thing that I don't want you to bid on, right? Donnybrook Stormwater Improvement Project, benefits brokerage, City of Douglas Park, HVAC replacements, IFB, printing services. So these are a lot of new contracts in Georgia that we actually weren't seeing last week. All right. So if you're new here, make sure you tap the screen. Make sure you follow and drop your state in the chat. Okay. All right. YouTube, thanks for liking the live. I want to make sure you can actually see the screen, y'all. From what I see, it looks like it's frozen. Might have to drop out and we're going to drop back in again. I want to make sure that you can see what I'm seeing. So YouTube, come in and drop your state in the chat. All right, we're looking up live government contracts. All right, there we go. Boom. All right, nice. There we go. All right, YouTube, we're back on. Okay. Trying to run two different platforms here at one time. Alan, welcome in. Nice to see you. Colton King, nice to see you. Jay, welcome in. If you're new here and you want to look up a government contract in your state, drop your state in the chat. All right, so let's open one of these. So every government contract, let's actually open up let's do the snow removal. Was the snow removal Georgia? Oh no, it was New York State. Let's look at one that's actually a little bit beginner. Let's look at one that's beginner friendly. Let me scroll through these really quick because this is what I really want you to see, how easy and simple it really is to bid on a government contract. All confusion and just the turmoil that people are really teaching is kind of, oh, let's do this one. Let's do the banquet chairs. All right. So we're currently looking at a government contract for banquet chairs in Georgia. This is what the portal looks like, okay? If you see highlighted in yellow, that's your deadline. What that means is right here, August 4th, 2026, that's when it needs to be in, okay? Right? Government type is the state, category is goods, purchase type is open market, event type is request for quote. But what does that mean, Deb? Request for quote is just the price. That is it, right? So I see I seen your text come through for the discount code. So once I get off the live, I'll get with you when it comes to the discount code and I'll make sure that you're enrolled at the discount price. But you have to reach out via email or text on the live, right? Because once I hop off of the live, there is no more discount code, okay? I'm going to take it down. So let's look at what they're asking us for. So there's a description here, also known as the scope of work. The Georgia World Congress Center will receive responses from firms specializing in banquet chairs. Right? So, we actually want to look at the scope of work. So if you can see here, we have a couple different tabs. Event details, offers conference, and documents. We're actually going to pull up the documents. And anytime you see an addendum, that's a change that happened inside of the contract. Summer, welcome in. Nice to see you. An addendum means that the deadline changed, or maybe they're answering questions, because every single government contract has a questions and answer period. Okay, so let's look at what they're actually requesting. We're actually going to pull up both of them. Right, some of them are going to be in Word documents, some of them will be in Excel, some of them will be in PDF. Either way, they will give you exactly what they're requesting, right? So, and this is what you're not seeing. This is what you're not seeing on the platforms. People actually sharing what a government contract currently looks like, okay? Because this is how you're going to have to respond. All right, so they're making your request, and the first thing that we want to do is look at the timeline. Okay, the timeline is very important. It tells us This is when the IFB was issued. This is the site visit. This is the deadline for submission. This is the answers. Every single contract, you have the ability to ask questions. If something's not clear, you get to ask the contracting officer, okay, well, we noticed that you didn't say anything about the color of the chairs. Can you give us clarification there? So the question and answer period is so important, right? And then the deadline for the submission. So you have all of this information, right? They're setting you up for success. Now, what I'm talking about is the scope of work. That's what they are currently requesting from you. Okay. It is the intent of Georgia to immediately engage the successful vendor, which is you, for the coordination of the purchase of all services, assuming responsibility for delivery, right? So we got to scan through a little bit and see what they're actually asking us for. You can do this by using the magnifying glass and typing in scope of work. All right, so you're going to click your magnifying glass, type in scope of work. All right, so we got it in Word form. This is actually going to drive me nuts. All right, so the scope, proposed firms, prices for individuals, items. All right, we got to find what they're currently requesting and asking for. Bid evaluation and award, right? So let's take a look at these two things. There's always a criteria that's involved. Pretty Little Dancer, thank you for, that's such a cute name. Thank you for the follow. Criteria. So this government contract, you are being scored on the cost, which is the price, and you're also being scored on the technical merit, which means qualifications, your relevant experience, proposed approach, and your responsiveness with your references. But I'm going to educate you really quick and let you know your subcontractor can hold all of this and you can still be awarded. So if you don't have experience, you don't have references, you don't have well, you need a proposed approach, but your subcontractor can hold a lot of this work. Okay, now the cost, that's on you. Your subcontractor is going to give you a cost, you're going to add a profit margin. But it's important that you know you're being scored on every contract. That's why I'm telling you to go after RFQ, IFB. Because to go after RFP as a beginner is a nightmare. Okay, it's not a beginner friendly contract, right? You know the system, you know the blueprint. So you invest in the course, you know the system, you know the blueprint. I teach you how to go after beginner friendly contracts. You will not always have to go after beginner friendly contracts, but you do have to start somewhere. Everyone has to start somewhere. When I won my first government contract, okay, it was for a small profit margin, but I had to start somewhere to get to $300,000 in wins. Okay, so we have to understand that, right? So going after RFPs doesn't make any sense. Plus, they ask for your DNA, your soul, and everything else. Like, they just ask for too much. They want clippings of your toenails. Like, it's just too much going on, right? So I want you on beginner-friendly contracts. All right, here we go. So here's the specifications of the chairs that they're asking for. Let's zoom into that. All right, so Georgia comes out and says, look, we want to purchase some banquet chairs. Here's what we need. We need 8,000 to 12,000 banquet chairs. Okay, the proposal shall include price per unit for this range of chairs. All right, the chair type that we're looking for, MTS model 6578. You're going to have a conversation with your subcontractor and ask them, do you have these in stock? If not, I got to go on to the next sub. I got to find another sub that does. Okay, the fabric color, Fandango, Fandango Admiral. I never heard of that color, but okay. The frame shape, the chair dimensions. This is all information, you guys, that you have to give to your subcontractor. They're requesting the chair weight. Now, if you have a subcontractor who basically provides these chairs for a living. That's what they love to do, right? They're running their dad's business, they're running their family business. They have these chairs in stock. They need to know all this information. Why? Because this is how they're going to price for you. They're going to be able to give you the best price technically acceptable based off the information that you're currently giving them. And they even give you, boom, a picture. They're giving you a picture of what they're currently requesting. It's you who's overthinking the process. You see all these documents, you don't have a blueprint, you have no structure, and you're scared to invest. Right? The conversations of rooms where it's a free event are much different than the conversations in the rooms where you're investing. Okay? The very first course that I bought was well worth where I currently am. Well worth where I currently am. Okay? I took that course, I leaned into it, I had access for 120 days, and every day I came home for my 11 to 7, I leaned into that course, and 3 years later, here I am. Teaching and educating you on the same exact sector with more wins, more losses, more hits, more testimonies, more, you know what I mean? Like, you have to understand that there's got to be some type of change, because nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes, right? So these contracts are a lot easier than people are making them seem. And that's why when I educate, I do it in a simple way. Okay? They're requesting the chairs. So you need 8,000 to 12,000 chairs. All right? If you put a profit on each one of those chairs, you do the math. Okay? Yeah, I would. So Ann says, would you suggest emailing this info to the subcontractor? Yeah. So what I would do is I would copy and paste this information, and I would take it over to my email. And so when you're having a conversation with your sub, it's going to sound like this. My name is Deborah Smith. I'm with Poobs Logistics LLC. I'm looking to see if you can currently provide up to 12,000 banquet chairs. They're going to start asking a couple questions, but I have 10 subcontractors to call, so I got to move quick. Each subcontractor is about 3 to 5 minutes of a call. I'm trying to get, can you provide the chairs? If so, can I get a price and an email? Those are the 3 things that I want from my sub. Okay, I want to know if they have them. Can you price them? And can you also give me your email? Because as soon as I get off of the call, I'm going to email them all of this information. Because the more information that your subcontractor has, and my subs tell me this all the time, Deborah, the way you email us information gives us a better understanding of how to quote you, because you give so much information. All I do is take the information from the contract. That's it. It's right here. I mean, you can give it to ChatGPT and make it fancy. You can give it to, you can copy and paste it just like this and move it over to your email. They have to be able to see this. So when they give you a price, it's correct, right? Chairs must stack up 15 high. Chairs must have welded frames and reinforcement. The government wants you to win. They want to be, and this is a good contract right here because it's clear as day. They're telling you what they're asking for. They even give you a picture. Okay? I would screenshot that, and I would also send that to my subcontractor. The more they know, the better. The more that they know, the better. Okay? Then there's a couple other documents that you have to fill out, right? When you invest in the 1 for 97, you get a 20-question AI prompt. And what that is you can head to ChatGPT. You can take this entire document and take it to Chat and upload the 20-question AI prompt. Okay? I see the text messages coming through. I think one of those was from YouTube for the course for $8.99. So once I get off of the live, I'll make sure that you get everything that you need to invest in the course. Make sure you're putting your email with your phone number too, please, because that's how I'm going to make sure that you get your receipt and everything you need. All right. So when it comes to government contracts, if you're new here, drop your state in the chat. Right now, we're looking at a Georgia government contract, but we can look up any state in under a couple minutes. right? So those are good questions. Also, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. Saturday night at 8 p.m., I go live every Saturday. But the best time to ask questions is right now. It's the best time to ask questions. So definitely excited to be here. Let's go back over the training, right? So we opened a contract. Now we need to understand with that contract how to review bid documents. Part one and part two. Both of those are videos that I put together. Okay, we talk about the question and answer period. It's an entire blueprint, an entire training on how to win a government contract. I even teach you after award. Okay, because when you win a government contract, you have to know how to do three things. Understand net 30 terms. Okay, what does that mean? The government pays out sometimes 90% of the time it's net 30. Okay, and net 30 means we're not going to pay you until 30 days out. My first government contract, I shipped the container. The government paid me 34 days later. If you want to give them a discount, they will pay you sooner, which is a blessing. Okay, you also have to know how to invoice, right? I have an invoice template linked in my bio. All right, it's $4.99. But what it is a way for you to efficiently invoice the government and email it over. It's very helpful to have a template when it comes to invoice because, to be honest with you, that's my favorite part. My favorite part is when it's time to get paid. I absolutely love what I do. I make a big impact. I'm doing it for everyone else. We have been awarded government contracts, but two things that I really enjoy when my clients win contracts and when I get paid. Those are my two biggest times where you can see all my teeth. Everything is showing, right? We worked it up to a point where it's like it's consistent. The invoices are coming in at a rapid pace, right? But we've been able to build an ecosystem around government contracting because we've bidded so much over and over and over again. So I just want you to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And also your payment timeline, your invoice, and then your kickoff meeting, right? And I also talk about one topic that I notice a lot of you bring up, which I wanted to put into the training, right? So the training tonight is $8.99. Email me or text me the word POOBS because once I get off of the live, the code is gone, right? So it will not be discounted ever again. So tonight, if you want to get it at $8.99, I would put that in my text message or my email. All right. Does anyone have questions on how to pay for a government contract? For some reason, it looks like YouTube keeps glitching. Yeah, YouTube is glitching in and out, in and out. All right, no questions on pricing because I know those questions come up a lot. All right, I've had a lot of people ask me that. So what I did was I actually put a video together that shows how to pay for your first government contract, right? So yeah, so the training that is usually $1,444 tonight, it's $8.99, right? And there's a discount code, but I want you to send me a text message or an email. So in my link tree, you can actually on TikTok, you can see my cell phone number, my direct line, and you can also see my email. I want you to either email or text me POOBZ, POOBZ, and it's discounted at $8.99 tonight, right? And this is the exact course that I'm teaching you about right now, right? So discount one time only. I usually don't do this, but this training, I really want to be able to get it out here because we got holidays coming. I really am at the point where I want you to start bidding, but to understand a structure, right? So we just went over some of that. But it's only for tonight, Summer. So if you send me the discount code POOBS, we'll make sure that you get it at $8.99. Aunt asked, How do you? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Um, so I'm going to give you this too, 716-526-5262, and we'll drop that here. Ant says, how do you pay your sub? That's a good question. Hold on 1 second, Ant. So I'm going to zoom in and I'll give you this. This is my direct line because I have the messages turned off on TikTok. So if you want a direct line, that's right there. So paying your subcontractor is one of the things that's very important because you're going to pay your sub before you pay yourself. So what's going to happen, excuse me, is the government is going to come to you and provide you with a purchase order. The purchase order is a receipt from the government saying that you're going to do the work and they're going to pay you. Okay, so it's a guarantee that you're going to be paid by the government, right? So the government's going to pay you ACH or via wire. All right. They also have procurement cards. Those are like credit cards for the government. They load the money onto the card. Okay, it's called a P card. And what's going to happen is once the job is completed, the government's going to pay you and you're going to pay your sub. Whatever's left over, you're going to keep. So you're going to pay your sub however you like, via ACH, via wire. They might take credit card. They might, whatever format they want it in, ask them that ahead of time. But the government pays you, you pay a subcontractor, and you take what's left. And you do that consistently over and over and over again. But it's very critical that you understand that your subcontractor must be paid. They did the work, they showed up on site, they were professional, they were understanding. Look, like you have to understand that right now, you have to understand that your sub needs to be paid first, right? All right, so let me make sure. I'm going to back out. So Summer, I see your text. Yeah, so let's do this. Let me pull out really quick. I think it actually paused the live. Hey, so I had to pause the live really quick. Here's the link, and once I get off the live, I'll connect with you and make sure you get everything you need. Thank you. All right, we got to do business while we do business, while we do more business and more business. All right, so Summer's in. Oh, did it kick me? Wow, I didn't know it was going to be such a little bit of a challenge to do two, to actually be able to do two separate platforms. All right, thanks, guys. You guys are so amazing. You're still in here. I'm definitely, I was just handling a client. So thank you guys for the orders, and thank you for waiting for me while I handle that. Do you pay the sub up front or after the work is done? I am Jayla. Summer, thank you for your order. So do you pay the sub up front or after the work is done? So after the work is done, right? But a lot of people ask, and that's a good question as well, because do you pay the sub up front or after the work is done? I never pay my subcontractors up front. What happens is my subcontractors, they complete the work, and I use something called a purchase order, which is a receipt from the government. Okay, and the receipt from the government is basically stating that they're going to pay me on time. It's a receipt of goods. So I had my first contract, Jay, was for a shipping container. And I didn't pay my subcontractor until they delivered the shipping container. So once they delivered it to the government, John, welcome in. Nice to see you. So once they delivered it to the government, what happened was the government paid me and I paid my subcontractor. So we don't pay our subs up front. Now they might ask you for a down payment. Like let's look the one for the banquet chairs. They might say, okay, we need we need you to put down $500 to hold the chairs. That could potentially happen. That's when your purchase order comes into play. Your purchase order will come into play when they say, okay, look, you got to put 500 down or else we're going to give the chairs to someone else. Then you can say, well, I have a purchase order from the government, from an agency, right? That's totally legit. Can we use this? A lot of people don't know that that's a form of payment. To use, that's what I did with my shipping container. I told my client, I said, look, I don't have the $5,295 for the shipping container. I just don't have it. Okay. Can I use this purchase order in order for me to get you to deliver the shipping container and go from there? She said, absolutely. We feel like you're ethical. We feel like we can trust you. You still have to be an entrepreneur. You still have to understand that, look, you can use a purchase order, but you have to be professional. You have to be understanding, right? And it's funny to me because still at this point in my career, sometimes I think it's just to see if I still got it. I try to use the purchase order as payment. But now, I'm okay because if they say no, I'll just make the payment, like whatever, right? But I still try to see if I have the ability to be able to use the purchase order. And 85% of the time, it still works because these companies know that the government is going to pay out. They know some of them know what government contracting is, some of them don't. But a lot of them understand that once they see that receipt from an agency like Department of Corrections or Department of Corrections, Department of Transportation, Parks and Recreations, they know that the government pays. They know that, right? So they don't play those games. Like when they say that there's an actual purchase order involved, what happens is they're extremely excited to be like, oh, okay, they have a purchase order. Yeah, we're going to work with them because they know that the government has consistent freight. So, John, where are you from? If you're new here, make sure you drop your state in the chat. We're looking up live government contracts. So we did Maryland, New York, and Georgia, right? Scoots, make sure you get on my calendar, honey, for your one-on-one. Okay, so did we miss anyone? No? All right, and if you're new here, make sure you follow as well. So let's look up. All right, we're going to stay in Georgia. Let's see what else they're doing in Georgia and actually look up a government contract. So we looked up the one for the chairs. Let's see what else we can find that's beginner friendly. Just made the purchase. Okay, thank you, Summer. I'm excited for you. Definitely caught it at a good time because I don't discount anything ever. Like tonight was like a special announcement, and I'm like, all right, we're just gonna throw it out there. We're gonna go from there, right? So just made the purchase. Can we look up Texas? Okay, let's do Texas. I'm actually gonna put you in a portal that is called, but I want to tell you something real quick, Summer. So Texas has a portal. It's called Texas Smart Buy. And what happens is it's trying to charge vendors $75. And there's actually a way around that portal that I'm going to show you right now. It's through another portal by the name of Una. Okay, now this portal used to be called Bonfire. It's called Una now, EUNA. So once you click, you're going to come to Google and you're going to type in Una login. And I have a tutorial on this that I'm going to get you. Right, so when we zoom out a little bit, excuse me, I want you to come down. But if you take a look here, it still indicates that it's Bonfire. So they're merging as well. It will tell you that it's Bonfire, but it'll also say Una. So even the logo changed, right? So I want you to be aware of that. But what Bonfire is a government contracting portal where a lot of agencies are housed. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're in a good spot. If you're on Una, then you're definitely right where you need to be. All right, so let's get in here and I'm going to show you how to pull up. Right, and I got to be honest, I enjoy Una. I really do. I submit contracts inside of here. It is very user friendly. So you're going to come to the home page. I'm going to back out a little bit. Back out. And find new opportunities. So right here, you want to click that. You're going to have your dashboard. You can update your password. You can also do two-factor authentication. It drives me a little crazy. So I didn't enable it, but I actually come here, everything's set up, and I click find new opportunities. Now, I don't know how many it is, but several agencies live inside of this portal. So you have a dashboard as well, which I love. They send you government contracts based off of the NAICS code that you chose. So for me, that's like logistics. That's a bunch of different NAICS codes because I use the subcontractor model. Then it tells you what you submitted, what was awarded, your contracts, what you're working on, that's in progress, right? But you have some tabs up here that I want you to pay attention to. And one is opportunities. So if you're under opportunities, make sure you can see that. Syra, welcome in, honey. So if you're under opportunities, I want you to go to Agency Explorer. And what that does is it brings you to a magnifying glass and a search bar. And right in this search bar, I want you to type in Texas. Because from what you can see right here, every single county and every single state has a purchasing department. When I typed in Texas, look at how many separate agencies pulled up. Be Well, Texas, Brazos County, City of Arlington, City of Buda, Texas, City of Fort Worth, Frisco, McKinney, Midland, Round Rock. This platform is free, right? Texas Smart Buy is not. So you shouldn't be paying for government contracting portals when there are so many out there that are free. I notice a lot of my clients have issues with Texas because they can't get around that wall of that $75 fee. This is how you get around the wall. It's by collaborating with someone who is educated on what's going on in the government contracting sector. Okay, so very important to know. You have about, I think it's 40 separate agencies inside of Una. Okay, so the fact that you registered in there, congratulations, because you're right where you need to be, Summer. You're in a good spot because visibility wise, in Texas, this is where all the government contracts live, right? This is Syra, this is Bonfire, Una. I think you're enrolled as well. Jimmy, welcome in. So you're in a really good spot. Now, let's look up one that I know is really popular, which is Texas DOT. Well, let's do this first. I want to show you something. So if you come and you click on one of the agencies, it'll pull up the opportunities. But if you're not registered, like you can see down here, I have little check marks because I have clients that I bid on their behalf. So registered, registered, registered. If I'm not registered in a certain area, let's do this one, City of Buda. It will actually tell me that I need to enter my information in order to see contracts. Okay, so if you're registered in one of the counties, it'll just pull up the contracts. If not, then you have to do this information right here. I started one last night for Houston City College. I just need to submit conflict of interest in W-9. Wow, that's so big. First of all, congratulations, honey, because you're at a really good point right now. And the more you submit, the better, right? So you're in the portal, you're submitting contracts, you're looking at documents, right? So now you have a structured framework that you just invested in with the 899 to give you the confidence to be able to push through, right? Because the training is everything that you need to be able to understand the entire process of what you're doing, right? And you can also take it on your own time, right? It doesn't require you to rush. You can bid. And a lot of clients, I notice that they bid and they take the course at the same time. And I love that. I love that because you have the access. Yeah, so and you have to register in each one. But after a while, the framework is all the same. So it becomes easier. Like they're asking you for certain information. And I want to be clear too. At the initial sign up of a portal, please make sure that you're triple checking your information because this is how the agency is going to contact you. When it's time for you to be awarded, they're going to go into Bonfire, also known as UNA, and they're going to look at this information. They're going to say, okay, how do we get in contact with Deborah Smith? How do we tell her she was awarded? How do we pay her? How do we know where her headquarters is? Right? Like, all this information starts with portal registration, tax identification number. They need that to pay you. Okay? Do you accept purchase orders? Right? We just talked about purchase orders. It's a receipt, right? Are you a member of, right, purchasing cooperative? Your website address? What's your billing email? Once they have that, they understand who they're going to pay. Okay? Are you located within 100 miles of the city of Buda? Just a couple quick questions that they want you to know. And once you do this once, you're in. You don't have to do it over and over. You can come back and change it. That's okay. Yeah, so I like that you brought up certification, Summer, because I have clients that currently are in a standpoint. So I have a woman who came to me and she said, Deborah, I built up this beautiful infrastructure. She's like, I have my staffing company. She's like, I have everything I need. I have insurance. She's like, I hold 4 separate certifications, she told me. And she is like, I've been doing this for about 6 months and I haven't won a contract. And she said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I said, first of all, congratulations, you built a beautiful infrastructure. That's amazing. But certifications do not win contracts. And a lot of us already meet some of the certifications. Like when I was in New York State, I met the 5% small business certification because I was registered in that state. So 5% of your company already meets one certification with the SBA in Texas. Because is your company registered in Texas? If it is, then you meet that one requirement without even doing anything. Just by registering with the state already deems you certified. Yeah, so you already have 5%, which is over someone who might come in from Alabama or Florida and try to bid on a Texas contract. They don't meet that 5% requirement because they're not from Texas. So you have an advantage, right? But the certifications do not win contracts. And I noticed as well that she was building her infrastructure, but she was going after the wrong contracts. So contract selection is just as important as it is, the certifications. And I'm not going to do this thing where I make it seem like certifications aren't amazing because they show that you're organized, they show that you're compliant, and they also show that like you can stick with something and see it through. But a lot of people think because they have it, honey, that it wins contracts and it doesn't. It's nice to have, it is a flex, but what you're bidding on and the amount of contracts you're bidding on is far more important than the contracts. Now, a lot of states also say you have to wait a year, or you have to wait 2 years, or you have to wait 3 years of tax returns, right? So a lot of people don't qualify for certifications until 2 to 3 years in. Okay, so that's a good question. That's definitely a good question, and it's very valid to ask. So yeah, you register in each one. Now I have one that I really like, which is Texas DOT. Texas Department of Transportation has so many contracts up. You know what? Let me go to actually, you can come over and go to my network. So once you start registering in the portal, you can come over to my network and it'll show you every single one that you're registered in, right? So these, I have a lot of them open because I bid on my client's behalf. I'm always inside of portals. I have, my people on TikTok and YouTube. I'm always screen sharing. So then I come down to the ones where I'm actually, my status is complete. So we have a difference here. These are not completed. I can't see those, but I do have ones where they're complete. And one Texas agency that I really enjoy working with that is absolutely amazing. I mean, these people pay on time, they have good contracts, is Texas Department of Transportation. These people know in the government how to run an agency. Okay, they're very communicative. They pay on time. Their contracts are very clear and straight to the point, right? I was looking for it there last night, but I couldn't find them. The Texas DOT. I'm gonna actually, I'll send you the link, and it'll pull you right to the page that you see me on. So I'll just pull back here, and I'll copy and paste, and I'll send it to you in a text message, and it'll pop up. But it's going to ask you to register, and after you register, you'll be able to see this, right? So they spend a lot of money, the DOT in Texas. So government's currently spending money in Texas on bed removal and installation, 40 cubic yard roll-off trash container. That's a really easy contract right there. But the only thing I would say is be careful because it only has 3 days. So everything has a deadline, but I want you, when you're in your beginner stages, to be in the 5 to 10 day range so that your back's not against the wall. Because every time I see a client put their back against the wall, they make pricing mistakes. I want you to give yourself some time and grace to understand that it's okay to have time, because now you're in the training. So you'll be able to move a little bit quicker when it comes to pricing and understanding. But to have time to understand that once you get to the pricing, I want you to take your time, because we're for-profit business, right? Like we want to make a profit, okay? Everything that we're doing in government contracting should always be in the green. I don't ever want you to walk away and be in the red. Ever. YouTube and TikTok. I don't ever want you to be in the red, okay? So that's a really easy one. 40 cubic yard roll-off trash container, rental and disposal. Find a quick subcontractor. It's due by August 4th. Boom, put it through. Get the container, add a profit margin, and push it through, right? Looks like they're looking for a generator, pump and disposal services for grease traps, equipment storage, outdoor pavilion, roof replacement, traffic signal poles, concrete mixer. There's another one there. That one's got 5 days till it's due. I like that one too. Trash removal and disposal services. That's awesome. Excuse me. Laboratory ovens and furnaces for Texas DOT. But look at how many opportunities. Heavy equipment with operators. Here's another one. So right now, Texas is really investing in a lot of trash containers. Look, we got a 30 cubic yard. Up here, we have another one. What was it? 40 cubic yard. And then there was a third one too. So there's a 30 there. Yeah. So they're definitely investing heavy right now. And they're probably doing some kind of clean outs. Janitorial services, that's a big one always. 12 days left. So these green boxes that you see, those are your deadlines. So you have 13 days left here, 13 here, right? Traffic sign fabrication. All right, how do you determine what price margin for each contract? So with the subcontractor model, it's different, right? For each contract. Now, I just had a client. She bid it on a government contract, but I knew that the competition was going to be low because I picked the contract for her. How did I know that the competition was going to be low? Because the way that you submit it, oh, thank you for the boxing gloves. Thank you, boss. So the way that I knew that there was going to be low competition, Syra, is because when you submit a government contract, it's one of three ways. Either one, it's inside of the portal like UNA. Two, it's via email. So you send it back to the contracting officer via email. And three, it's USPS, like priority mail. Okay. So I picture this contract on purpose because right now we live in a day and age where people do not want to mail anything. Okay. Everybody wants to do everything digital. Everybody wants to do everything via email. They don't want to go to the post office. They don't want to do any of that. Right. So I put her on this contract. I knew the competition was going to be low because nobody is going to bid via USPS. So I told her to put a 8 to 12% margin because I knew the competition was going to be low. Okay. She put an 11% margin on top of it. Right. There's key indicators that you got to look for. Right. If you see something that's popular or you pull up past history of a contract, and a lot of you, I don't want you to do that. Yesterday's price is not today's price. A lot of people are teaching that to look back at the past history. But last year's prices are not this year's prices. So you have to be careful with that, right? So that was one key indicator. Two, it should always be with the subcontractor model under 30%. 30% is like the max that you can go, okay? Because most contracts will say that, yeah, that they want the lowest bidder, and they do. They definitely do. So when you call your 10 subcontractors, you know what that's giving you? It's giving you data and analytics. So if you call 10 subcontractors and you walk away with three solid prices, let's just say it's for a snowmobile. You call 10 subcontractors, you have three prices. One is 1,000, one's 2,000, one's 3,000. Now you know right here, right now, what a snowmobile costs August 1st, 2026. You're not looking at anything from 2025, right? Now, you also have to remember when you're calling those 10 subs, you have your own data and your own analytics. So if you have three separate prices, which one are you going to go with? You have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 because you called 10 subs. I'm going to go with the 1,000 because I have the ability to put a spread there. I can put 12% on top of 1,000, and that 12% is my margin. I'm going to stay away from the one that's 3,000. That's a little bit on the higher side, right? Right. And so you're going to go with 1,000 because you have a spread that you can put there, right? So you want to understand that you have to pay attention to certain buying behavior. And once you start to pick up and bid more, you're going to start to learn more things, right? So the training tonight is $8.99. The code is POOBS. All right. So once I get off a live, the training will not be half off anymore. Okay. So tonight it's $8.99. You either text me or email me POOBS. You'll get the link and we'll go from there. Okay. But tonight, once I get off, that code will come down and you're not going to see it again. All right. So we went over the course and everything that was in there. It teaches you within the structure of the course what it's like to price product contracts and pricing service contracts. And I teach you that. You're welcome. I teach you that within the course. So yes, when it comes to, let me check my YouTube here. I'm not even used to being on YouTube. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, YouTube, I see you. I see you. I'm not used to being on two platforms, guys. Work with me. You guys been so patient tonight. All love, all love. All right, where were we? Okay, so we were in Georgia. But yeah, so when it comes to pricing, that's something that you're gonna have to learn, right? And when I do the one-on-one bid submission, a lot of questions come around that, around the pricing, because you have to learn the format. Like And let's talk about this too, really quick. When I won my first government contract for a shipping container, I had revenue coming in January, but then I was like, okay, well, what about February, March, April, May? Like we had some income come in for January, but what about the other months? And that's when I started to realize I'm going to have to start bidding on service contracts, right? Because I have a tent project in New York, and that's been paying out consistently for 7 months because I chose the correct contract to go after for the amount of revenue that I wanted to bring in. So I want you guys to do an exercise that I think will be helpful. I want you to create and think about a number that you want to make by December 31st, 2026. Right? Like, is it a million? Is it 500,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 30 grand? What do you want your business to bring in profit margin wise by December 31st, 2026? That's a very good exercise to do because what happens is you can reverse engineer this thing and start to look backwards on how you got there. But a lot of us don't have an end goal, right? So, Syra, if 100 grand by December 31st, start plotting out what kind of contract you're going to go after. Are you going to go after one contract that can bring 100 grand in profit, or are you going to go for four contracts in the next 4 months that can bring in 50,000 in profit? Right? So it's a very good exercise to do because a lot of us do not know the end all be all. Like when you start a company, what do you have an organizational chart for what it looks like at a million or 5 million or 10 million? Like what's the end goal? Is it to sell the company, right? Is it to give the company to your family? Like what's the end goal and how can we get there quicker? So that's a very good exercise to really be able to touch on because it'll give you better visibility, right? Because sometimes we look up and it's like, whoa, it's August? Oh my God, like that. Wow, that happened quick. So it's like August, September, October, November, December. 4 months before you start making 2027 goals. So make a goal now for 2026. Okay, the next 4 months you have the ability to lock in. All right, 4 months. If you want 100 grand by December 31st, you got to figure out: am I going to go after service or product contracts? Or what are we going to do here? Right? Like, are we going to go? And let's talk about that too. Like, what does that look like? Okay, so let's say, boom, right here, janitorial services. All right, we know that that's a service. You're going to have to clean that building over and over again. It's very rare that the government asks you to clean a building one time. But what happens when you clean it consistently? Invoices after invoices after invoices. That's all I hear is like cha-ching, 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 because you're utilizing a contract that is bringing in consistent revenue. And right now, you're in the beginner stages, right? You're not always going to be a beginner. There's going to be a time when you hold multiple awards and multiple revenue sources are coming in. So you have revenue coming in from your janitorial, you have revenue coming in from a shipping container contract, you have revenue coming in from tree removal, you have revenue coming in from the dumpster contract that you won in Alabama. Like, yeah, go me. Woo, woo, woo. So it's like you have to understand, honey, that you have to start somewhere. And Syra, you've done an amazing job. Like you've done really well. Like you've stuck with it. You asked a lot of good questions. It's just keep bidding, right? You got your first one in and you just have to keep going, right? I want to come in starting doing janitorial contracts. Is it best to subcontract or have employees? So janitorial is best to subcontract for sure because there's a lot of good janitorial companies out there that are already built, right? That love what they do, right? They're looking for work as well. Like, you know, janitorial companies want to work, but they're not educated on government contracts. So A lot of subcontractors that I call, they're like, I don't want to deal with the government. They're like, I would rather have you communicate with the government, handle the paperwork, and I'll do the job. And a lot of them tell me that they don't want to be involved. They're like, look, let us just handle what we handle, which is the work. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. And I've even trained certain teams in Fort Lauderdale and the Miami area that are like, look, we want to do the work. We're going to hire one person to handle the communication and the paperwork, which is my team, and they're going to go out and they're going to do the work. Right? So they hire us to come in and train in person on the structure, and they go out and they execute. So a lot of teams, they don't know what government contracting is, and by the time they find out, they would rather collaborate with someone like you who understands the system because you can position them a lot better. I have a trucking company. He just wants to run his infrastructure. That's it. He just wants to run his infrastructure. He wants to drive his trucks. He wants to hang out with his team. They run certain packages in Arizona. And the one thing he wants to do is just be a driver. He's like, Deborah, I don't want to deal with it. How much does it cost for me to hire you for you to bid for us? So there's very different lifestyles between the subcontractor. But I would say when it comes to the sub or janitorial, I would hire a company because every single state has janitorial companies, and they have a lot of them too. A lot of them. So let's look at the trash removal. Take a look at this one because if you look, that's the fourth time in Texas that a trash removal and disposal services has been posted there. Is that for a container? Oh, that's for trash removal. Let's look at this one. Oh, I lost it. Hold. Oh, here it is. Let's look at this roll-off trash container. Okay, when you start opening solicitations, this is what you're going to see, right? In Bonfire, I love that they do this. They give you a calendar. That calendar updates you on what's currently going on, right? So if we go back, like there's a little block right there, 5 p.m. That 5 p.m. is trying to indicate and tell us something. So we have to come over here and look. So July 2026, the 31st. All right, so it's open until August 4th. That's indicating something. So it's open, and then Friday the 24th, it looks like there was a site visit. July 14th, it opened. July 21st, the questions were due. This is your contact. So every government contract has a point of contact. This is the person who decides whether they're going to award you or decline it. Okay, so you want to build a relationship with them because once you win and you execute, guess what happens? They're going to consistently give you more work. Okay, so tonight the training is discounted. Okay, it's at $8.99. Text or email me by going to my um, my face, clicking my face. You're going to see my email. You're also going to see my cell phone number. Text me the word "poobs" and you'll get it discounted at $8.99. All right, so that's just for tonight only. I got about another 20 minutes before I hop off. So if you want the training that we went over, I want you to text me. You know what? I'm going to drop my direct line here. And I'm going to drop my email as well. So anyone who was on the live tonight, by 12 tonight, if you reach out, we'll discount it. And if not, then you're not going to see it again. PoobsLogisticsLLC.com. All right, I got to remember, I got two things going on here. All right, so let's look at, where were we? We were looking at this one. Okay, so this project is for a rental and disposal services for 40 cubic yard roll-off trash container for Tarrant County Highway District 2. So that's what they're looking for. Now, they're asking for some documentation here. So let's look at the invitation for bid, which just means a price. And then we can also look. So let's focus on the first three: invitation for bid, statement of work, pricing schedule. All right, I teach this in my trucking master class too. What I want you to do, I want you to come over and I want you to look at the statement of work and download it. Right? These are all the documents that have to go back to the government. All right, so let's look at the scope of work. The scope of work is also known as the SOW. So they want you to provide services for rental and disposal services for a 40 cubic yard roll-off trash container, right? They're going to give you the locations. Okay, they're also telling you the definitions. Now, one thing you can do to shorten this is to use the magnifying glass. And you can type in scope of work. All right, and that should pull up your scope of work. Right? Okay, I don't know why it didn't, but usually you should be able to use, oh, it did. It pulled me right back up to the scope. All right, so it looks like they're looking for one container, but I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. And you can use the AI prompt here as well. What that AI prompt does is it just helps you read faster. Oh, wow, this only has 5 documents. That's great. All right, unsatisfactory. Looks like they're only looking for one here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Provide all required safety equipment and personnel to observe the safety of the contract. You need a point of contact. Your driver has to have a driver's license, and all of this you're going to get from the subcontractor. And it says right here, provide an updated list of all vendor personnel, or what's that say right there? Subcontractors, right? Marina, welcome in. If you're new here, make sure you like the live, share it out. All right, Don, are you okay? Let me pull off really quick, guys. Let's see, make sure Don get with me. All right, Don, thank you for your order. Once I get off of the live, I'm going to connect with you. Right, so, okay, thank you for your patience. Don, thank you for your order. I appreciate you. So, subcontractors, but what we have to talk about really quick, someone asked a good question in an in person training the other day. They were like, is subcontracting allowed? And the best answer I can give is absolutely. And the government is aware of what subcontractors are. Excuse me, because what's happening is there's so many government contracts that all the small businesses can't fulfill them all. And the government is fully aware of that. So they give us the opportunity to subcontract the work so that we can bring in other teams to be able to help us execute this work. That's exactly what is happening with the subcontractor model. And the more people that come into the government contracting sector, the better. The better, because you're making an impact. There's billions of dollars being spent. That means there's billions of dollars sitting on portals, and this work needs to be completed. You get the chance to make an impact, and that's big. Like, that's huge, right? So it's important that you know that subcontracting is allowed, and you'll see in government contracts where they mention it, right? Provide an updated list of all vendor personnel and subcontractors at each job site. So they're aware, right? So tonight, I go live every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the people that placed an order, send me your email and make sure I get you into my back office, right? Make sure we get the course and the training started tonight. Extremely excited for everyone who invested. $8.99 tonight. I want you to reach out, text me Poobs, or email me POOBZ. So you have until midnight tonight to be able to do that. Okay? It's discounted at $8.99. Once I hop off and midnight passes, the link is no longer good. Okay? So super grateful to have you all here. If you're not following, please do. YouTube, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for being here. Right. So I want to say you're welcome, and thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. Definitely, 2 hours of educational based content, and Saturdays are a very exciting time for me. I get to come on and just, educate and hop on YouTube. And tonight I did 2 platforms. I don't know if I would do that again. I don't know. There was a lot going on, so I got to get better at doing 2 platforms. But I'm grateful that I had you here, so thank you. Summer, thank you for your order, honey. Don, thank you. I will get with you after I hop off the live. And it is a little bit late, but I'll still be up for about an hour. But what I'm going to do is enroll you into my back office, and that's going to give you immediate access to the course. So you'll be able to take it on your own time. You can start tonight, whatever's good for you. And you both have my direct line, so you can reach out. And I just want to say, whatever you are thinking that is good, think bigger. Bye for now.